Welcome to our pugging session. So we went to one of our fridges here where we took out some of our bricked clay, which is what had been laid out earlier. So we bring it over here and we use our strings to slice it into pieces. This is where we can mix our harder stuff and our softer stuff. We create like little sandwich layers, then they brick it, which kind of mixes several kinds together. And then it gets thrown into the pugging machine. And as it extrudes, this is kind of a mix between all the layers. And when it gets to the end of the silver piece here, they're going to wing that little silver piece over and cut it. Let's give it a few seconds here. The pugging machine will only go so fast. It's a preset thing, so yeah, you can see. They pick it up. The first time it comes out at this stage, we are going to set it to the side. I get to work here apparently. We just kind of lay into the side. We're going to have to pug these once again just to make sure they're more even. Like as you can see here, we have some little softer ones, some little harder ones, some quite hard ones. So we are going to go through. When we re-pug them, it's going to mix them all again. So I will come back in a few minutes when we reach the re-pugging stage. We're here at the pugging mill just to show you here. Here's our mill. Inside's your grinders. The easiest way to get this in is to basically drop this down onto your thing there, onto the bars. And as you get back up here so you can see a bit more, it will actually suck itself in just due to how the rotors are turning, and it will spit it out. So if we look now, see how it's all caught up in the rotors there? So that's got caught. Just drop another one in. You can push down a bit if you want, but if it starts to squish up the sides, it starts blocking things, it gets harder and harder to do. As you see, the bar is actually lowering itself there as it spits it out. We'll come back later. Okay, so we're reaching the end of our first pugging. These ones haven't gone through yet. These ones have gone through once. So we have to double pug them. This mixes the clay, makes it more even, nicer to work with. So as you can see, we have about 12 of them there, and she's going to go through and cut them. You can do like 12 all at once, makes it go faster. Don't let them fall on the floor, please, because it isn't very nice. And then once again, we mix and we match all the different layers. So then we can basically just keep mixing everything up. Then it's going to go through again, and when it comes out as a second pug, then we're going to put it in the fridge, and I'll come back for that stage in a moment. So here's actually another overview showing you everything at once you can actually observe. We have Susan here chopping up the ones that have been single pugged so far. Here's some new ones that are just coming out of the machine. And we have Bev here who's taking the ones that we've layered and she's making them into little tiny fist-sized blocks as Kathy then puts them into the pugging machine and lets them come out. So you can see how this one's a little flaky. This is going to be one of our softer pugs. So as far as hand building goes, you let it sit for a week in the fridge and it comes out very nice for hand building. The wheelers might need to let it sit for 2 or 3 or let it dry out a little bit for the preferred hardness. So you keep watching this here for a little bit just so you kind of see what's going on. Okay. So you get the idea of how things are going now. There's about 4 of us here working, and I'll come back when it's time to put the first double pug away. And just a side note, when you put in your last clump of first time clay into the pugging machine, you usually get 2 to 3 clays of the first time clay out, because as she's starting to put in the second pug stuff, we're going to still get 2 or 3 pugs of rough stuff out before we actually get to our good pugged stuff. So just wanted to make a note of that. So here we are. This is the second pug coming out of the mill. When it reaches the end of the silver part, she is going to cut it. We're just waiting for it to get going here. She's going to put it in a plastic bag. She's going to roll it up. I'm just going to step back here so she can see that. And she's going to take that to our pug fridge. And she's going to set it in the shelf with the others. And we're going to count how many are made afterwards so we can keep track of how we've been making them. So you can see we're on our second pug. So we have all these little circles here. And they're all just pounding them either into little slabs and stuff. And that's all there really is to pugging, is just put the clay through once, then slice it up, mix and mash even more, and put it through again. The more you mix it, the better clay we get. And that's pugging. Finished pugging here, so I'm going to show you a close-up of how we're cleaning this because it is quite important. So our UCD is the extra clay here. She's going to use the string to actually cut it right level with the edge there. In this case, the built-on silver one won't get close enough to seal it, so she's going to pull it off there. So you can see we're quite level. We've already washed the outer edge, and the inside of the lid's been washed as well. She's just going to tuck that over it, and because both are clean and both are also slightly damp, no moisture will get in there at all, so you don't need to worry about anything drying out on that end. And up here, as you can see, I've got plugged right full about finger deep. It's all pushed in against the edges. No air can get down into the
clay to dry
the machinery in there, because if it dries out, we got to pull the whole pugging machine apart, and it becomes quite a hassle. Our upper piece here needs to get cleaned. We have paint scrapers. You can use your sponges if you like. So once it's all clean, we have a special sponge. You get quite wet. If you squeeze it, it will drip. You're going to lay that in top. Just make sure it can't dry out. Another important thing is to actually turn the machine off. And it just hangs on a hook to the side here. Oh, and she's wiping it down for me. And there's a number of bags here that are used to seal this up. There's about 3 or 4 layers of bags, so I'm just trying this one-handed. Oops, she tries to trap my fingers. So there's several layers of bags we go through, from a couple of grocery ones to some bigger black ones, and we tie them all together. That keeps as little air and keeps little air as possible as getting to the machine to dry things out. So what you want basically for the clay to stay wet and basically is full. There's just enough room in here with the sponge for the piece here. I'm just going to grab this, sorry. When it closes, as you can see, it collapses. There's just enough room for it to almost close. Just a little bit of a gap here. And then we're going to put in there a bag or two on top of this, just to try and give as many layers of protection as possible. The table, you can clean as much as you like. The pugging machine, if you need help, try and make sure it's clean enough but not too empty. Just let us know, we'll give you a hand. And that is it for pugging from the start to the finish to the cleaning.